Today we're going to be talking about memory, specifically how to use plant-based medicines to improve our memories. Memory, specifically memorizing long lists of information, has been pivotal for the Chinese education systems for the last 3,000 years. Today's story, we're going to bring you back a couple thousand years, about 1500 to the Tang Dynasty, when a young man has tried his best and yet has completely bombed an examination that will decide the rest of his life. This is what happened to a young man. We'll call him Xiaoban, which means little stupid in Chinese. He studied really hard and attended great schools, but found that nothing he read would really stick. It took him longer to recall information. With the stress of studying, he found himself waking at night to urinate, even though he was only 21. He had dizziness and felt demoralized and helpless. His mom didn't really know what to do with him, and his dad wouldn't talk to him. So his mom just said, you know what, just go into the woods, learn from nature's rhythms, just get out of the house, you're depressing. So he goes into the forest near his house to sit and let everything dissolve back to its origin. He'd never been the strongest person. It was said that his father had weak seed. From an early age, he developed slowly. He was the last to stop wetting the bed, and his muscular coordination was poor. While he was out in the forest, he became hungry and noticed some seeds growing on the grass. He thought about his own development and considered eating those seeds to strengthen himself. If he was born from a weak seed, then he would eat seeds to make up for the difference. It wasn't perfect logic, and it's never been advisable to consume unknown plants, but we've already established that he wasn't the sharpest crayon in the box. He picked up some of the seeds and took them home to make a tea. At first the tea was peculiar, but as he drank it he found that he really loved it. That night he slept soundly. Within a week of drinking the tea, his dizziness began to subside. After a few months, he found that his memory and wit were quite sharp. He returned to his studies and found that his recall was impeccable. He passed the exams with high marks and was awarded a very high-paying post as a government official. With his new influence, he began to propagate the seeds and called them yijiren, which means benefit the intelligent seed. He became strong and fathered plenty of gifted and talented children, presumably who attended Montessori school. From a pharmacological perspective, yijiren has been found to increase dopamine. It inhibits acetylcholinesterase. The effects on acetylcholine would have helped Xiaoban to become mentally sharper and perhaps even more physically coordinated. This herb has also been shown to lower inflammation in the hippocampus in order to increase memory. The process for improving memory is multifaceted. It includes many aspects of our physiology. One that's mainly overlooked is gut flora. What we eat can very much affect our memory. Serotonin and dopamine are important for the formation of memories. Gut flora influences these via the gut-brain axis. This is why eating garbage can make you feel so dumb. Lymphatic drainage also plays an important role. You can think of the lymphatic system like the filter on a fish tank. If the filter is broken, pretty soon the fish tank gets pretty murky and nasty. It's the same in the human body. Lymphatic drainage and the immune system have recently been found to play an important role in memory and cognition. This shouldn't surprise anyone who has ever had a bad cold and felt mentally groggy. Cognitive functions can be sharp or dull depending on the status of the immune system, whether it is fully competent or has been compromised. Inflammatory cytokines can modulate learning, memory, and synaptic plasticity. Your immune system also is crucial for brain cell cleanup and repair. The processing of your body's cleanup crew can greatly enhance memory, and we do this mainly while sleeping. The lymphatic system, derived from the lymph system, filters toxic waste products out of the body. The waste products that are filtered through the brain prevent neurological illnesses like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. There are even hidden caves which open up in the brain while we sleep, allowing vast amounts of cerebrospinal fluid to flush neurotoxins through the spinal column. This cleans up neurotoxins like beta amyloid, which are often found in clumps in the brain of people with Alzheimer's disease. These amyloid plaques are essentially gunk between neurons. Think of it as the white corrosive buildup in your car battery. Every so often, you can pour baking soda or a can of Coke over the battery to dissolve the buildup. It's not all that different in the brain, you just use a plant-based solution. A botanical formula that is a memory powerhouse is Liu Wei Di Huangwan. It's based on a formula that is 2,000 years old. It inhibits acetylcholine esterase to slow the breakdown of acetylcholine. This is vital for your memory. It also has effects on hormones and brain plaques. This formula has effects on the hippocampus by slowing Bax mRNA, which increases cell death, and increases BCL2 mRNA, which stops brain cell death. So essentially, this is keeping your brain cells alive longer and preventing buildups of plaque that could help to break down or destroy brain cells. In its study on mice, the researchers decided to go ahead and give the mice dementia by injecting them with hydrocortisone and amyloid beta protein. The idea was to throw off the glucocorticoid and DHEA balance and start gunking up the neurons with amyloid plaques. It worked. The control group got an injection of salt water. After 40 days, the mice on salt water were in bad shape and were pretty dumb. The mice that were taking Liu Wei Di Huangwan showed significant improvement. In another study, the researchers put mice in water. Mice can swim, but they prefer not to, so they try to find an exit where they can crawl out. The researchers tossed the mice in the water every day until the mice pretty quickly learned the fastest route to get out of the water. Then the researchers decided to make the mice have an even harder time by giving them chemicals to destroy their memory. They gave some of the mice some Liu Wei Di Huang. The ones who were eating the Liu Wei could find their way out faster. Part of this is the way that Liu Wei works to preserve and maintain neurons and slow neuron death. This effect on neural regeneration is vital, and it's also shared by another botanical powerhouse called Buyang Huangwu. We call this formula Neurogen because it increases gene expression to promote nerve regrowth. It's so powerful for regenerating nerves that it is even used for spinal cord injuries and stroke recovery. When combined with Liu Wei Di Huang, the last formula we spoke about, it has dramatic effects. It's been found to increase blood circulation to the brain, reduce amyloid plaques, and promote regeneration of neurons to promote learning and memory. There are many herbs and supplements which boast memory-enhancing effects. They are put into combinations promising to neurohack or be nootropic. The intelligence behind these formulas is improving, but very few are truly comprehensive and are often presented at dosages that are below the minimum dose required to have an effect. People often ask about ginkgo biloba, but I feel that it ultimately falls short. It increases blood circulation to the brain, and it can increase acetylcholine in the hippocampus. These are certainly strong points. Where I get suspicious is that it is everywhere in China in city parks, and no one cares about the leaves because the effects are negligible compared to the herbs such as Yizhiren and formulas like Liu Wei Di Huang and Buyang Huangwu that work comprehensively on the many factors that influence memory. If even the poorest people in China won't pick it up off the trees, it's a sign that it's probably a worthless herb. Maybe in extremely high dosages, it has a minimal effect on mice, but I have a strong feeling that it's being marketed perhaps overstated compared to what its actual value is. Another herb marketed in North America is gotu-kola. In Chinese, this is called jixue-cao. It is an obscure herb used for bleeding disorders and dysentery. Here at Botanical Biohacking, we only advocate when evidence and tradition align. In this case, there is no traditional basis for it improving memory, and the pharmacology doesn't provide enough support for it either. A more readily available and delicious memory booster is garlic. Between ginger and garlic, you are probably going to get more comprehensive benefits to your memory when you take into account gut flora, inflammation, and gasotransmitters. Aside from these culinary herbs, you're going to want to avoid the herbs mentioned earlier if you have a cold or a metastatic cancer. The reason for this is that herbs that tend to improve memory also have effect on inflammation and cytokines in that they lower it. They also increase circulation to the brain, which isn't always what you want when you have cancer or even a cold. Think of it like this. When a city is under attack, there are police everywhere and roadblocks are in place. Reducing inflammation and increasing circulation to the brain is like sending the police on vacation and then providing free buses to an invading army right to the Capitol building. It's a poor strategy based on the conditions. Two very important gases for the regulation and improvement of memory are hydrogen sulfide and nitric oxide. In the right amounts, these can vastly improve memory and reduce stress. A very simple method to increase the flow of these is to engage in daily meditation or Tai Chi. Both Tai Chi and Zen meditation have been shown to regulate the flow of gasotransmitters in the body. Also, acupuncture has been shown biphasically to both increase and decrease gasotransmitters. Assuming that it's okay with your primary care physician and with your acupuncturist or Chinese medicine doctor, a good overall strategy is to start with Buyang Huangwu. The reason for this is you want to start using the immune system to clean up the garbage that's already there before you begin trying to add something new to the equation. Wash the cup first, then fill it. Afterwards, you can begin using Liu Wei Di Huang Wan or a tea such as Yizhiren. Lan, how can we know that we're getting good quality Yizhiren and that we're getting formulas that are going to work as the research and tradition has shown?
According to the Pharmacopoeia, for a herb or herbal formula to work efficiently or effectively, they need to meet certain standards. For example, one of the effective ingredients in the herb. For Yizhiren, it should contain more than 1% of volatile oil. For Liu Wei Di Huang Wan, it should contain pionol no less than 1.5 milligrams each kilo and arbutin 0.3 milligrams each kilo. And neither of them should contain heavy metals such as cadmium more than 0.00003%. Speaking of heavy metals, actually Buyang Huangwu can increase macrophages to remove heavy metals in the body.
That is such a good point. It really doesn't matter what kind of vitamins or minerals you're adding to the body in order to improve memory. If you have heavy metal toxicity, it's really not going to do much good. One of the challenges with heavy metal toxicity is that the heavy metals themselves will break down the macrophages. And the macrophages are what are going to eat away or kind of envelop those metals and bring them out of the body. Oftentimes, different toxins within the body are enveloped in fat. They're stored in fat. And as people begin to lose fat, sometimes these toxins can come out into the body and cause a reduction in memory. So during those times of weight loss, or just if you've been exposed to various toxins, very specifically, if you've lived around farms, if you're around farms in the 50s and 60s, you might have DDT exposure. Many people have had hip replacements, have areas where there may be metal leaching into the body. For these situations, using a formula like Buyang Huangwu is great because it not only is helping to clean out the amyloid plaques, but it's going to really help to envelop and remove some of those heavy metals that may be getting in your way. If you would like more information, references, or resources, please check us out at botanicalbiohacking.com. If you found this information valuable, please share it with your friends and family.